See these dots. Each one marks a Roman gold coin found buried across Europe. But look toward the east and you will notice something odd. A dense cluster of Roman gold, far more than anywhere else, lies in India. How did a land thousands of miles away become home to a treasure trove of Roman gold long before the Suez Canal? India's sea trade with the Arabian Peninsula was central to the maritime Silk Route. On land, routes extended from Bactria into the northeastern part. At sea, the port of Berenike was the prime hub connecting Indian traders to the Mediterranean world. A journey that took a full year, traversing the coasts of various kingdoms. The vast open ocean was a mystery, as there was no sophisticated method to navigate it accurately. But in the 1st century BC, a storm washed an Indian sailor ashore in Egypt, barely clinging to life. He was brought before the Alexandrian court, where the king spared his life in exchange for a secret that gave Indian sailors the power to travel through the open sea fearlessly without ever losing their way. The monsoon. Every July, the monsoon winds blew from west to east. Indian sailors had mastered their rhythm, harnessing them to cut a 6-month voyage down to just 3 weeks. It was a route most sailors feared, cutting straight through the middle of the ocean. The rescued sailor later guided the king's navigator along this invisible wind road, landing on India's western coast in September, just as the rains withdrew. This open sea route wasn't just faster, it was smarter. It bypassed Persian and Arabian ports, dodging taxes and middlemen. Armed with this newfound knowledge, the ships set sail again in December, returning to Egypt with Indian treasures. Now, before I continue, there is no direct record of who revealed the secret. Our key source, the Periplus, makes no mention. However, the story appears in other sources. NIO scientist Sheila Tripathi has stated that the people of Indus Valley civilization were already using monsoon winds for maritime trade as early as 2500 BC and even published research to prove it. Link in the description. Back to the story. In 30 BC, the Red Sea welcomed a new ruler, Augustus. The Roman Empire had expanded, taking control of Egypt and the Mediterranean. This was the dawn of Indo-Roman trade. Over 120 ships departed annually from Meos Hormuz, ferrying gold in exchange for spices, gems, and silk. During this flourishing Indo-Roman trade, an event took place which left the entire Roman world stunned. An Indian king sent an embassy, though we still don't know which king. That's not the point. What matters is that this embassy shocked the Roman world for centuries. Alongside diplomats, letters, and a live tiger came a Shramana, a monk devoted to peace through personal suffering. In the heart of Athens, this monk self-immolated before a crowd. The story spread like wildfire. He was buried in Athens with a local name Zarmanochagus on his tomb. It was inscribed that he came from a place called Barigaza, an ancient port named after the sage Brigu, which Indians called Baruk. It was no ordinary port. It played a pivotal role in the trade network. Gifted with geographical advantages, Baruk was situated on the banks of the Narmada River, serving as an entrance to the inland territories. The monsoon winds we talked about, well, they drove ships directly to its shore. The Western Kshatrapas recognized these advantages and made Baruk their maritime gateway. It was also around this time that Hippalus, credited by the Greeks with discovering the monsoon routes, helped Baruk cement its position as India's golden door to Rome. As Baruk flourished, so did other ports. Muziris in Kerala, known as the first emporium of India, became a magnet for global trade. Christians believed that Saint Thomas, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, arrived here to spread the gospel and buried in India, where he is still venerated today. With his arrival came Jewish settlers, many of whom returned to Israel after World War II. That story deserves its own deep dive, so we'll cover it sometime later. Arikamedu, near modern-day Pondicherry, connected Roman traders with Southeast Asian nations, strengthening ties and expanding the trade network further east. As these new ports thrived, the Indo-Roman trade grew immensely, worth over 100 million sesterces annually in Roman gold. Pliny the Elder, the famous Roman author and commander, complained that Roman gold was draining into India to feed the luxurious desires of Roman society. This was the era when Roman gold flooded India. During Kanishka's reign, the Kushan Empire even minted coins featuring Greek and Roman deities. Indian deities made their way to Greece and Rome, appearing in palace decor. Tamil literature also mentions Romans serving as bodyguards for Tamil kings. Trade and prosperity were at their peak, but what goes up must come down. Decline began with political instability in Baruk. The Kshatrapas fell and Baruk lost its guardians. Then the Guptas fell too, and Baruk's strategic value diminished as different rulers had different priorities. Meanwhile, Rome faced its own chaos. The assassination of Alexander Severus led to the eventual split of the empire. A financial crisis followed and gold grew scarce. New Roman coins, minted with base metals, were rejected by most Indian traders. Trade slowed. Luxuries became unaffordable. It didn't vanish entirely. Textiles continued to be traded. There is even evidence of trade between Indians and Emperor Justinian I, but it never returned to its former glory. Eventually, Persian rulers dominated the trade routes, growing richer and more powerful. The Western Roman Empire collapsed altogether when Odoacer overthrew the last Roman emperor. The final chapter came in the 7th century. The rise of Islamic empire swept across Arabia and North Africa, taking over the regions that once connected India to Rome. Indo-Roman trade came to an end, replaced by new Islamic networks using the old routes. The ports once lit with Roman gold now lie buried in silence. What remains are ruins and millions of Roman gold coins found far from the empire that minted them.